Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something I think a lot of you running gyms, maybe boutique studios, probably feel deep down.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
That feeling, you want something done right, well, you've got to do it yourself. That little voice saying, nobody can do it like I can.
Yes. That one. It comes from a good place, right? Passion, commitment. I mean, your hands-on approach probably got you where you are.
Absolutely, no doubt. But what happens when that same belief starts holding you back, starts being the bottleneck?
Good question.
That's really the heart of what we're digging into today. We're drawing heavily on this really insightful white paper by jthomas.
Right.
And his main point is pretty compelling. Delegation, it's not really about losing control. It's actually a strategy, a way to boost your impact, unlock growth.
Exactly. It's a mindset shift. So our mission here, for you listening, is to get clear on why delegating is so critical for your gym's health, like long-term health.
Yeah, and not just why, but what you can actually hand off.
Right. What makes sense to delegate? And then, crucially, how do you do it? How do you let go without, sacrificing the quality you've built?
We're hoping for some real aha moments here, thinking about freeing up your time, empowering your team. It could be a total game changer.
It really could.
Okay, so let's dive in. Why does delegation matter so much, especially in this fitness world?
Well, jthomas really hammers this home in the white paper. Time. It's your absolute most valuable resource, and it's finite, right?
Definitely finite.
As a gym owner, you're juggling so many roles. One minute, you're the CEO, planning strategy. The next, you're practically the janitor or fixing a billing glitch.
Yeah, sounds familiar. The classic small business owner hat juggling routine.
It is. And all that switching, it just drains you. It pulls you away from the stuff that actually grows the business.
Right, the big picture stuff.
Precisely. Every hour you spend on, let's say, routine admin that someone else could do with good training, that's an hour you're not spending on strategic planning.
Where do I want this business to be in 3 years, 5 years?
It's exactly. Or developing your leaders, investing in your teams so they can take on more, or building partnerships. Those big ticket items, they get shoved aside by the daily grind.
Okay, so if you do manage to delegate effectively, what are the actual tangible benefits? What can owners realistically expect?
Oh, the benefits are pretty significant, according to Thomas's research. First off, you often see faster, better decisions happening.
How so?
Well, when you empower people closer to the action, say, your front desk lead, they can often make quicker calls on operational stuff. They see it firsthand.
Makes sense. Less bottlenecking at the top.
Exactly. And second, it's huge for your team. Empowerment, growth.
Yeah.
Giving them new responsibilities. That builds skills, boosts morale, makes them feel valued.
Yeah, I can see that. People want to feel trusted, right? Like they're contributing more.
Absolutely. And when people are engaged and focused on specific roles they're trained for, guess what? Things just run smoother. Better operational efficiency.
Fewer dropped balls.
Right. Plus, it helps you keep your best people. Your top performers, they want challenges, they want growth. Delegation gives them that path.
So it's a retention tool, too.
Definitely. And maybe the biggest one for you, the owner. Less stress. Less burnout risk. You get to focus your energy on the vision, not just the immediate fires.
That sounds pretty good.
And ultimately, Thomas found this all adds up. It drives long-term profitability. Gyms that delegate well, they tend to see better bottom-line results, often pretty quickly.
Okay, let's unpack this idea you mentioned, shifting from operator to owner. How does delegation actually do that?
It's really about where your focus lies.
Yeah.
As an operator, you're in the weeds, doing the daily tasks.
Yeah.
You're hands-on, executing.
Right, running the day-to-day.
As an owner, your main job shifts. It's about the strategy, the big picture, the vision, making sure the right people and the right systems are in place to make that vision happen.
Delegation is the bridge.
It's absolutely the bridge. It lets you step out of being constantly in the business so you can work on the business, focus on steering the ship, not just rowing.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's get practical then. What kinds of tasks should gym owners look to delegate? And, just as important, what should they probably hang on to, at least at first?
Yeah, this is key, and jthomas lays it out clearly. You want to delegate tasks that, look, with good processes and good training, your team can nail consistently. Think front desk operations.
Like check-ins, new member tours.
Exactly. Check-ins, basic new member orientations, maybe pulling daily reports, stuff that's routine but vital.
Okay, those seem like good candidates. A well-trained person could definitely handle that.
For sure. Then sales follow-ups. This is a big one. Setting appointments, sending follow-up texts or emails, keeping the CRM updated.
CRM, the customer relationship management system,
Mhm.
keeping track of leads and members.
Right. That can eat up a ton of time, but it's often process-driven. Also, social media and marketing. Not maybe the high-level strategy, but scheduling posts, engaging with comments, pulling basic ad reports.
Routine marketing tasks.
Yep. Billing and admin, tracking payments, chasing receivables, basic bookkeeping. Again, systematizable. Facility maintenance, daily cleaning checklists, equipment checks, ordering supplies. Essential, but doesn't need the owner's eye constantly.
Right.
And finally, class scheduling. Coordinating instructors, updating the schedule, letting members know about changes.
Wow. When you list it like that, it's actually a lot of stuff that eats up owner time, but isn't necessarily like the highest value strategic work.
That's the point. And the white paper notes, often team members who focus just on these things, through repetition and focus, they can get really, really good at them. Maybe even better than the owner who's juggling 50 things.
Because they're specialized.
Exactly. Their focus is sharp. Now, on the flip side, what do you keep close? Especially early on. Strategic planning, number one. The long-term vision for your gym, that's yours.
Gotta steer the ship.
Yep. Hiring, and importantly, developing your leaders, those key people who will manage departments or teams. Getting those hires right is critical.
Yeah, those early leaders really set the tone, don't they? The culture.
Absolutely. Then, finalizing the really big financial decisions. Major investments, loans, things that significantly impact the business's health. That needs your oversight.
Makes sense. High stakes.
Brand positioning, too.
Yeah.
How does your gym show up in the market? How does that evolve? That's owner territory, high-value negotiations, like key partnerships or leases, probably best handled by you.
Your direct involvement matters there.
It often does. And finally, coaching and mentoring your key team leaders, building their capacity, keeping them aligned, growing your internal leadership pipeline. That's a vital owner role.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. So we know what to delegate roughly and what to keep, but the million-dollar question for owners is how? How do you let go without feeling like quality will drop or things will fall apart, without losing control?
Right. This is the core of it. And it's not about just dumping tasks on people. It's a structured process. It relies on clarity, accountability, and trust. A huge piece of this, which Jim Thomas really stresses, is delegating outcomes, not just tasks.
Outcomes, not tasks. Okay, that sounds important. Can you give an example, like a wrong way versus a right way?
Yeah, the white paper has a great one. Wrong way. Post 3 Instagram photos this week. See? Very task-focused. Just do the thing.
Okay, simple instruction.
Right. But the right way would be something like increase weekly engagement on our Instagram posts by 20% using a creative content strategy that you develop.
Yeah, okay. Big difference. The second one gives a goal, a target outcome, and it empowers the person to figure out how to get there.
Exactly. You're giving them the what and the why, the objective, and trusting them with the how. This sparks critical thinking. It encourages them to be creative, innovative. It builds that sense of ownership.
Instead of just checking a box.
Precisely. And of course, you got to pick the right person. Don't just give it to whoever's free. Think about skills, potential. And if there's a skill gap, you need to invest in training. Bridge that gap.
Right. You wouldn't ask someone totally new to bookkeeping to suddenly manage all the accounts without any training or support.
Exactly. And speaking of support and clarity, Jim Thomas also highlights creating standard operating procedures, SOPs.
Documenting how things get done.
Yes. Using tools like Google Docs, Notion, maybe Trainual. The goal is to build a system, not rely on one person's memory. This makes everything consistent, reduces errors, and makes bringing new people on board way faster.
It's like the playbook for your business operations.
That's a perfect way to put it, a playbook. And with that playbook, you also need clear checkpoints and expectations for anything you delegate.
Meaning?
Meaning clear deadlines, specific metrics, how will we know this was successful, and a regular check-in cadence. How often will we touch base?
So it's not just set it and forget it.
Definitely not. That's abdication, not delegation. This is structured empowerment.
Yeah.
You stay involved, but more as a guide, a resource, providing feedback.
Like air traffic control guiding the plane.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
And underlying all of this is giving genuine ownership, not just responsibility. When people feel like something is truly theirs, they care more. They perform better.
How do you foster that ownership?
Encourage their autonomy within that defined scope. Trust their decisions, and really, truly recognize their effort and initiative when they step up.
Which kind of leads naturally into building a whole culture of ownership, right? Not just one-off tasks.
Exactly. That's the ultimate goal. A team that takes initiative, solves problems, delivers results. Ideally with less and less direct supervision over time.
So how do you build that kind of culture?
Well, Thomas outlines a few key things. First, make wins visible. Publicly recognize when someone takes ownership and gets results. Celebrate it.
Reinforce the behavior you want to see.
Precisely. Second, where it makes sense, tie incentives to performance outcomes, not just hours clocked. Reward results.
Pay for performance, in a way.
In a way, yes. Third, encourage problem solving. Don't just accept problems. Expect your team to come with potential solutions. Ask, okay, what do you think we should do about that?
That's a big shift for some owners, from being the answer person to being the question asker.
It is, but it's powerful. Also, invest in leadership development. Train your staff to think like managers, even if they aren't formally in management roles. Give them the tools, the mindset.
Build capacity throughout the team.
Right, and finally, involve them in decisions when it's appropriate. When people have a voice in shaping things, they feel more buy-in, more ownership of the outcome.
Okay, this sounds great in theory, but let's be real, mistakes happen.
Yeah.
What are some common traps or pitfalls owners fall into when they try to delegate, and how do you sidestep them?
Oh, yeah. Mistakes are common. Jim Thomas actually has a really useful table in the white paper tackling this head-on. One big one, micromanaging.
The classic.
Yeah.
Hovering.
Exactly. The solution. Set super clear expectations, outcome, resources, deadline for adder, then genuinely step back. Trust the process, trust the person.
Easier said than done sometimes, but crucial.
It is. Another mistake. Vague assignments. Just tossing a task over the wall without context.
Hey, can you handle social media?
Right. Way too vague. The fix. Give the why. Explain the context, the importance, and clearly define what success looks like. What's the goal?
Clarity again. Seems like a recurring theme.
It absolutely is. Then there's the opposite of micromanaging. Abdicating. Just dumping a task and disappearing. No check-ins, no support.
Set it and forget it, but in a bad way.
Exactly. The solution is planned involvement, regular scheduled check-ins, offer support, answer questions, make sure it's on track. Don't just vanish.
Stay connected.
Yep. Another common one is holding on too long. Fear. Thinking, no one else can do this right.
The "it's faster if I just do it myself" trap.
That's the one. Thomas's advice here is blunt but necessary. Let go sooner than you feel comfortable. You have to actively trust and empower. People might surprise you, maybe even do it differently, but just as well, or better.
That requires a leap of faith sometimes.
It really does. And finally, a big mistake is blaming when things go wrong, instead of coaching.
Pointing fingers.
Yeah. Instead, use mistakes as learning opportunities. What went wrong? What can we learn? How can I support you better next time? It's about development, not blame. Avoiding these pitfalls. That's key to making empowerment actually work.
This has been incredibly helpful, breaking down not just the why, but the what and the how. As we sort of bring this together, what's the single biggest takeaway you want listeners to really let sink in?
I think Jim Thomas nails it with this final thought in his paper. You're not the product your business is.
Ooh, say more about that. That sounds fundamental.
It is fundamental. It's a perspective shift. If your GM only works, only survives, because you are there every single minute, involved in every single thing, then you haven't really built a business. You've built yourself a very demanding job.
Wow. That's powerful, yeah. The difference between being essential to the business versus the business being a sustainable entity itself.
Exactly. Real ownership means building systems, empowering people, creating something that can thrive, serve members, generate revenue, even when you step back from the daily grind. Smart delegation isn't losing control. It's multiplying your impact. It's reducing your personal burnout risk. It's building something that can actually scale and last.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Probably juggling a million things. It means recognizing, yes, your passion, your expertise, they're vital. They got you here. But your time, your energy, they're limited.
Finite resource.
Right. And to really grow, to hit those bigger goals, you have to leverage your team. Trust them. Delegate effectively.
It's about making that shift, which can feel uncomfortable at first, from doing everything yourself to leading a team that executes the vision. That's how you focus on the big strategic stuff that only you can do.
You're building something bigger than just your own efforts.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
A business that's more than the sum of its parts, that can stand on its own.
Okay, so summing up this deep dive, delegation, absolutely essential. It's how you go from operator to owner. It frees you up for strategic work. It builds a stronger, more capable team. It's not loss of control. It's maximizing impact. It's about building a resilient, scalable gym.
And building a valuable asset, ultimately. Something that has worth beyond your direct daily input.
So here's a final thought, maybe a little provocative to leave you with. Think about it right now. What is one task, just one thing you do regularly that you could realistically delegate to someone on your team, starting maybe even this week?
Just one.
Just one to start, really picture it, and then think about the ripple effect. What could freeing up that time, even just that little bit, do for you, for your focus, for your business's growth?
Often it's that first step, that first act of trust, that feels the hardest. But it can also be the most liberating, the start of a real transformation.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive on strategic delegation for gym owners. We really hope this gave you some solid insights, some practical steps you can take to unlock that next level for your business.